Hey guys, how's it going? Konami just announced a brand new tournament format for the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG. Now this is really interesting because there's already so many Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG formats already and different ways to play the game. Now originally I was not going to make a video on this because everyone else is going to make a video about it, so I didn't really see the point in myself making one. However, there is something that I really want to talk about, so I thought I might as well make a video because I wasn't going to make a video anytime soon. There's also something really weird about this tournament format and the way that Konami's going about it, so I figured why not, I'll make a video and talk about it because it is something I am interested about. Now the new format is called Yu-Gi-Oh! GENESYS, and there's 4 rules that you need to know before you can start playing this format. Now I'll leave a picture of the rules on the screen just in case you want to read them by yourself, but I'll also go over them briefly. The first rule, which is probably the most important, is that there are no link monsters or pendulum monsters. This is pretty crazy because almost every deck has a link monster. Even decks that aren't centered around link monsters have a link monster in some way. Links are also the easiest monsters to summon because they're pretty much just a synchro monster without needing a tuner or a specific level. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has had link monsters ever since 2017, so it's been 8 years since we got the first link monster. Konami just cutting it out seems really strange, but like I said, they're also the strongest extra deck summoning mechanic. There are also no pendulum monsters, and this makes a ton of sense to me because it's very clear Konami TCG hates pendulums. Pendulums aren't even that broken, and there are a lot of really cool pendulum decks like DDD. However, Konami TCG just really hates the pendulum mechanic as a whole, and it's so obvious. For some reason in 2020, Konami TCG banned Heavy Metal Foes Electromite. Even though pendulums just suck right now in the TCG, that card is still banned, even 5 years after. It's very clear that this original format was intended to hit link monsters, but Konami just hates pendulums so much. I'm gonna make another video on this in the future, but it's honestly crazy how much of a vendetta that Konami TCG has against pendulum. I don't know why, just because I personally don't hate any of the summoning mechanics, but Konami TCG just can't stand pendulum. Now there's also no ban list, which is honestly crazy. This is honestly crazy, but it makes sense when you see the next rule that there's a point system. So the way that I describe it is that there's not a ban list, but there technically is a ban list. Now how this format works is that some cards are assigned a specific point value. Now how this works is that a tournament has a point cap for your deck and you're not allowed to exceed that amount. Now how it works is that the standard point cap is 100, but if some tournaments want to, they can run a 0 point cap if they want. If they want, they can even make a higher, like a 1000 point cap. Most tournaments are gonna run at a 100 point value, which is why Konami has given at most a 100 point value for some of the strongest cards. For example, a card like Abyss Dweller is given a 100 point value, so at most you can only have one Abyss Dweller. So this means that playing Abyss Dweller takes up the entire point value for my deck. Obviously no one's going to want to do that, just because the card is not strong enough to warrant your entire point value. Now don't get me wrong, Abyss Dweller is a really strong card that can really decide the game by itself. However, no one's going to put all their points into Abyss Dweller and not use any of the other strong cards because other cards are given different values that you are going to want to use. This brings me to my biggest complaint for a certain deck that I really enjoy playing. I like playing Synchrons a lot. I think it's a really fun deck and you get to use a lot of cool cards. This makes me wonder, why does Junk Speeder have a 100 point value? It just makes no sense. Synchrons aren't a competitive deck. When I first read this, I thought it was a mistake. I was like, there's no way Junk Speeder has a 100 point value. They're pretty much comparing it to a banned card like Abyss Dweller and saying they're equal in power, which everyone knows that they aren't. There's another card like Mystic Mine, which is strong enough to just win the game by itself, also has 100 points. I don't know what's up with Konami, but they're trying to compare these cards to Junk Speeder, saying that Mystic Mine and Abyss Dweller are equally as strong as Junk Speeder. Everyone knows that's a lie. Junk Speeder is not as strong as these other two cards. To make matters worse, right above Junk Speeder is Jet Synchro and it has a 1 point value. This means even if I give up all the rest of my cards just to put Junk Speeder in my deck, I can't play Jet Synchron? To make matters worse, let's just assume that Jet Synchron didn't have a point value. They already made Crimson Dragon 100 points. Not only that, Cosmic Blazer Dragon already cost me 1.2. Even if Junk Speeder wasn't 100 points, I can't even use a Crimson Dragon and Cosmic Blazer Dragon in the same deck. It's honestly a joke because when you look at other cards like Chaos Ruler that only has 50 points. Konami is trying to say that Junk Speeder is more broken than Chaos Ruler, which is obviously not true. I don't know who it is, but somebody at Konami TCG really hates Synchrons and Junk Speeder. What makes matters worse is that Konami OCG already gave us this garbage Synchron structure deck called Power of Fellows. So many of those cards are so bad, like Junk Warrior Extreme, Super Sonic Chick, and Anchor Bolt Hedgehog. But now the TCG also is showing us that they hate Yusei and Synchrons because they're already giving us so many hits to Junk Speeder. There is no doubt at this point in my mind that somebody at Konami in the OCG and the TCG just hate Yusei. I honestly could not think of another reason why we got such a bad structure deck, and now Konami TCG is essentially banning Junk Speeder in GENESYS. It's very clear that Yu-Gi-Oh! As a whole just hates Junk Speeder, Yusei, and Synchrons. I was honestly really excited to play Synchrons and Junk Speeder in GENESYS just because it's a casual deck, but maybe it could be fun in this format. But nope, I can't do that. Too many of the good Synchro cards are already on this new ban list for some reason. It's honestly crazy that Konami would give Junk Speeder a higher value than some of the most broken cards in the game like the tier limit monsters. Even the really broken Ishizu cards like Kelback and Agito, which caused the tier 0 format in the OCG for so long, even those cards have a lower value than Junk Speeder. I don't get it. It honestly makes no sense to me, and it's a really bad time to be a Junk Speeder, Synchron, or Yusei fan. Whether it be Konami in the TCG or the OCG, it's very clear they just don't like him. Konami OCG just gives him really bad support, and Konami TCG just won't even let you play Junk Speeder even though it's not a competitive deck. I'm sure the GENESYS format will be a lot of fun for people, and I hope people do have a lot of fun. This decision just leaves me really confused why Vanquish Soul can be at full power, but Synchrons can't even have Junk Speeder and Crimson Dragon. Konami is more scared of a casual deck than they are of a competitive deck, which makes no sense. But anyways, it's not up to me, and like I said before, I hope a lot of people have fun with this format. So that's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Have a good one. Take care.